Hey guys, welcome back. I just kind of wrapped up a video. I was talking about all the mods so far and then a few new changes that I'm actually planning on this weekend, doing this weekend. So I thought I'll kind of give you guys a look at what it looks like right now before those changes. But just as soon as I wrapped up the video, I thought, well, it's been 6 months and about 3,000 miles on it. So I thought, why not record another one, just talk about how I feel about this motorcycle so far, and would I recommend this 6 months later, 3,000 miles in it, and basically what to expect, what not to, when or if you're planning to buy it. So with that, let me actually switch to the bike. So again, as I said, I think I'm just around 3,000 miles. That's the RPM. Yeah, 3,500 miles. 6 months. So not too bad. All right, so what do I think about this bike 6 months later, right? So still very much in love with the bike. Absolutely no complaints. I'm loving it. I have this has hit all the check marks on my checklist, and I found it exactly the way I was expecting it. The very first thing though, when I bought it, the 500-mile break-in. So let's start with the buying process itself. The waiting time. I placed the order somewhere around February, mid-February, I guess. That time last year, there were a lot of issues with the deliveries and shortages and supply issues. So we had to wait for it. So I got the delivery in around May. When I placed the order, I know the MSRP on this one was around 12,500, and I think Indian raised it just around May or June time frame. So it did go up by about $300 or $400, maybe somewhere around that. So what I paid for this was really the MSRP. Then Indian charged me about $600 for the logistics and freight, and I think I paid the dealership about $600 in setup and everything, and then the taxes, which was 6.25% tax in Texas. So that's something to keep in mind. That is what we are paying. There are a lot of dealers, they were actually doing a lot of markups on it. I luckily found a good dealer who did not have any markup, but I hear apart from the MSRP and the 650 from Indian and the taxes, people were actually paying up to $2,000 to $2,500 basically, just in markups and dealer charges and freight and all those things. But I had this out of the door somewhere close to between 13 and 14,000. If you are planning to buy one, look up the internet. These days, a lot of bikes I see, used ones, really nice ones, on sale for a really good price with a lot of mods. So you may want to take a look at that. So that was the buying. I did have a long wait, but I know there were people at that time, they waited actually for 8 months, 9 months. Mine was somewhere around 8 and 9 weeks, so it wasn't too bad. As soon as I got this out, the one thing that was promised to me was chrome exhaust and the shields. It did not come, sorry, I was promised a black one, but it came with the chrome one, and we changed that. Basically, I changed that, bought it on the internet, but Indian was nice enough to kind of give me a coupon that I used for the Fox shocks. Right now I'm going to install those, but yeah, they kind of compensated me for that, not having the black exhaust, and that was what was promised to me. Indian service itself, or I should say the Indian customer service itself, dealing with that coupon thing and all that, getting that taken care, it was smooth. They really made me feel like they cared about their customers and they were good. I did buy, by the way, that 14,000, I actually have a 3-year extended warranty on this after the manufacturer warranty of 2 years. So I think I'm covered for 5 years, I guess, on this thing. So again, it all depends on how you work with your dealer and what type of prices you're gonna get. But I think that was about $700 or $800. That was the yeah, I think somewhere on that, just for this extended warranty that I bought. On top of that, as soon as the very first expense was really the break-in service. Since I had that warranty, I did decide to kind of go for the warranty, go to the service center and get it done. Initially they had quoted me about $500, believe it or not, just for the 500-mile break-in service. And I know what they do, really just kind of change the oil, change the filter, kind of just quick look at all those bolts and all that, retorque it if there is any need, but nothing more. And I talked to the dealership. I told them that $500 or almost $500 was way too much. Went back and forth with them, kind of developed some relationship, kind of just telling them I have bigger plans for the motorcycle and they will get more business from me and all that. I ended up paying somewhere around $250 to get that done, and that's probably the highest I would have gone. If they had not done it for me, I would have just done it myself. It's just really just changing the oil and kind of retorquing everything in your service manual. Even if you don't have the service manual, the owner's manual actually tells you what you need to check, what you need to replace. The oil and the filter, which is right down there, were really the only thing, and the whole kit comes for, you can buy it for about $100. Really doesn't take much. So that is the first thing you have to keep in mind when you're working with dealership for your break-in. I've seen people being quoted anywhere between $300, $200 to $500. There are people mostly just do it by themselves. Other than that, the power wise, again, 1140, somewhere around that, 1100 cc motorcycle, close to 100 horsepower. It's a lot of power. It doesn't feel like it though when you're riding on the highway. It's really nice, really easy going, very nimble, very easy to control and maneuver. And I think the way they say it, it's like it has all the power when you need it and absolutely no power when you don't need it. So that's perfect. Really low height. I love the look. That was the first thing that kind of got me into buying this. So I've got a lot of compliments. Black color looks really good. So yeah, I mean, look wise, absolutely no question, one of the best looking cruisers. When you do buy the motorcycle, you also have to anticipate buying a seat. The stock one, it would not hold you. Yeah, anywhere you go more than 40-50 miles above the speed limit, you are literally holding on to your life, grabbing onto those handles because the seat just doesn't work. So I had mine replaced just within the first 10 miles. I said nope, not gonna work, stopped, replaced it anyway. So that's the seat. Shocks is the second thing to go after. If you really are planning on riding this around and want to make it one of your to-go-to motorcycle, shocks, you should invest in that. And the seat, and I think you're good. Windshield, Indian sells different types, smaller ones, the taller ones, but they're very expensive. All in all, it will cost you about $300 to $400 or between that. This one I paid $130. Quick release. When I don't need it, I'm around town, I'm good. When I'm going on highway and I know I'm going to be riding long hours and higher speeds, 80-90 miles an hour, this is definitely a lifesaver. I done enough research. I kind of went with this. Looked good, smoked black tinted, and the flexibility to just take it out whenever I want. Just literally 10 seconds. You just have to twist these, and that worked out. So that's another investment you have to keep in mind. The one thing that will annoy you is the lack of fuel gauge in here, and the fact that this tank only holds 3.3 gallons of gas. On an average, I'm getting about 45 miles on it. It will depend on how you drive, but then with the 3 gallons, you literally get somewhere around 100 or 150 miles for the total range. And since you don't have the gauge, at least initially, I was always freaking out as soon as I hit the I'd say 100 miles mark, 110 miles mark. Now the one good thing is it does have this little light that comes up when you don't have, or when you're running out of the fuel. So it lights up when you have just about half a gallon left in the tank. And that half a gallon is about 20 miles, somewhere around that. Again, it all depends on how you ride. So that's what annoyed me really much, well, very much. But then I'm used to it now. Around town, 100 miles, 200 miles, you're anyways kind of be feeling tired. You don't want to stop, so it's not too bad. Long trips. I did some trips with some of my group here. Our group member, they all have like the adventure touring bikes. They all had the range going anywhere between 200 to 250, 300 miles, and I was like, let's take a break every 100 miles. That was sometimes it was embarrassing or annoying, but we had to do what we had to do. Long trip, I did ride it for about 6 straight hours, except when I was stopping for the gas refill. Even with these seats, bad shocks though. The first 4 hours I had no issues, especially because the windshield helped. I did not feel a lot of vibration. I give the credit to my gloves. Without gloves, I think about 2 hours, 3 hours, you will feel your wrist going numb, a little vibration. So make sure you have the gloves, and the nice ones. It kind of dampens a little bit of the impact here. Yeah, the stock ones, I don't think anyone ever said anything good about the stock exhaust. So when you're buying this motorcycle, that's another expense or a modification you have to keep in mind. Most likely you want to change that. They are really big and they don't look really good. They're very heavy for the motorcycle as well, so that's something you need to keep in mind. But so far, other than that, there are absolutely no issues. I've seen a lot of people complaining about things breaking into on their bikes. For me, that has not been an issue, touch wood. And as I said, only the break-in service about $250, and then I know the whole kit after that for the service, the oil and the washers, crush washers, and the filter, all of that, the whole kit will cost somewhere around $100. So you should expect that spend somewhere, I think, once a year at least, because you can go up to 5, 6, 7,000 miles, up to 10,000 miles, I guess, or a year. That's what they recommend. If you are in a place like Houston, like me, if you're not doing winter storage, that's what you should expect. Anything else breaking down, at least on my case, I don't feel it. Absolutely no regrets, no issues. The other thing I've heard complaints about, that this thing here is not really very good because it gets water in, and because of the moisture it kind of breaks down, and it's about $500 to replace. So what I have done, actually, I don't know if you can see it, take a little bit of GE silicone caulking that comes in, and I've kind of just placed it here and in these corners, and I've washed it. I've been into some water splashes, at least not very crazy, but so far it's holding up really well. No complaints there. Yeah, I don't know. I've nothing but good things to say. Now the only thing is, just remember, you're buying a cruiser and you're buying a bobber. So yeah, these things are not designed for really long trips and a lot of, I want to say, highway riding, unless you make it like that. And that's 3 things that you would need: is the seat, the shocks, and the windshield. Depending on what preferences are and how you want to do it, you can do it. Occasional passengers, okay, but for long trips, they're not going to like it. They won't appreciate. So keep that in mind as well. If you are someone who always wants to ride with a passenger, and especially long trips, this is not the bike. I'm gonna go straight up say that. For around town, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour with passenger, especially with the new shocks, you're gonna be okay. Other than that, this bike is a lot of fun. I feel like it's a good investment. Just looking at the prices, even if the used motorcycles, they don't come down very much. Again, it's just been 3 years since this motorcycle was released, so we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, and by the way, just recently received an email. Indian said they have some issues with a fuel pump, so they have a recall, and now I have to go and get that replaced. They are doing a free replacement of the fuel pumps, because apparently there were some cases where the fuel pump would just stop working and it will stall the motorcycle. So that's something to keep in mind. But they did say that was only for 2021 and 2022 models. So if you are looking for a used motorcycle and you're going to go for those, make sure you ask the previous or the existing owners if they have already had a recall on it or they had it repaired and whatnot. Basically, just do your due diligence and make sure you're buying something that's reliable. Yeah, one more thing I missed when I was in the long trip was the saddlebag. So we don't have, there are people who have done it. You can buy various different types, but look wise, since that was my prime reason I bought this, I did not put a lot of huge luggage or saddlebags. So I mean, this works for me, something to keep in mind. Other than that, yeah, again, as I said, no complaints. Really a nice bike all around. A lot of power, again, as I said, works really great. So yeah, I mean, if you're planning on it, and again, it's for you, mostly solo rides around town, you know, the short fuel range doesn't bother you, this is a perfect bike and you will enjoy it. That's all. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, just let me know and I'll keep you guys updated. We'll do another review like this when I hit the 5,000 miles. Have a good one. Thank you.